Welcome to Season 8 of A Little Birdie Told Me. I'm your host, Rebecca Horan, and on Episode 8, I'm talking to Orla Hopkins. Orla Hopkins is a mum, a former athlete, co-founder of New Dimensions Active. She's founder of Project Move Strong, and she's a contributor and speaker. But she is so much more than that. Orla and I talk about a grief that changed her life at a very young age and changed the direction of her life. She helps others work through grief when they feel they can't move from a stuck position, and how fitness, exercise, and movement saved her life. To all my gorgeous listeners, because every parent deserves peace of mind, I'm thrilled to share that this episode is brought to you in partnership with Optimal Follow-On Milk, the #1 follow-on milk brand in Ireland. Optimal Follow-On Milk is a product you can trust. It's specially designed to support babies' growth and development, as it contains calcium and vitamin D, which contributes to the normal growth and development of bone. With over 50 years of dedicated breast milk research, Optimal Follow-On Milk brings science and care together to support your baby's journey. Optimal Follow-On Milk, your life, our science. Important notice: breastfeeding is best. Follow-on milk should be used as part of a mixed diet from 6 months. Please speak to a healthcare professional for advice. To verify #1, contact the Optimal Care Line. Thank you so much for joining me. I have Orla Hopkins. It sounds like I'm on the Late Late Show. Thank you for joining me on the seat. Orla Hopkins, personal trainer, mum of 2, business owner of New Dimensions, and just badass woman who I kind of wanted for a few seasons and then got you for this one. So I finally have you in the studio. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, I said it to you as I walked in. I'm like, oh, thank you. But I genuinely sometimes, I just do what I do, and I don't know why I'm interesting.
She's a fecker. Like, she was like, I don't know why Rebecca would want me in here. And I'm like, what the? Who says that?
I know, but sometimes maybe isn't that just probably our,
DNA?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, and that whole imposter syndrome. Yeah.
What don't you have to say?
Well, that's probably half the reason. I'm like, I'm not going to shut up now. Sorry.
No, but you are. Wow, you're New Dimensions, okay?
Yeah.
Gorgeous brand, and just constantly moving and pushing forward, and also owning that space in Ireland, which we need, right?
Yeah,
more of you.
Yeah.
I'm saying that you do some classes in Saint or a class or two, but you try and keep your foot in that door.
Absolutely, yeah.
Fit mama, and you've got 2 kids. What age?
Noah is 15 and Hunter is 8.
Okay, what?
I know, 15.
15's insane.
I know. How am I 15? Or have I got a 15-year-old? I feel like I should be only 21.
And how is? Okay, we'll get into that in a second.
Yeah,
15 and 8, that's nuts. Okay, so 2 very different ages.
Yeah.
And you are married.
Yeah.
And chilling like a villain. But
Yeah.
you have a story, and your story resonated for so many reasons. But I've always been like, God, I'd love to kind of be her mate or talk to her. But it's like we're all just kind of moving in our circles, and we follow each other on Instagram. But I know that the media many years ago caught on to your story of hope, resilience, of what kind of gave you the tenacity to get into the space that you're in now. And I guess you're kind of how you help others. Can you take us back to kind of when you were 19, 20 and having the laughs and dating?
Yeah, so Niall was my boyfriend back when I was 18. And we were best friends. We were very similar in the sense that we both loved to go out and enjoy life, but we weren't big drinkers, as we were both really into our sport. So I think that's what probably brought us together, was that we'd go out and we'd be the last to leave a party. But it was, it wasn't about being out there drinking. So, or a lot of other people were. So we just kind of gelled at that age. It was kind of like, yeah, we're out here to have great crack, but we also have to get up tomorrow. And I used to go coach gymnastics and he used to go coach basketball. So we kind of just fell into this very similar kind of little routine that a lot of our other friends weren't in, because they were like not getting up the next morning and on to do anything else. So all of a sudden it wasn't weird. Oh, you're getting up to go coach. Okay. So that's kind of where we found each other. And we just became such good friends very, very quickly. He was an amazing guy, such a kind guy. I have 2 younger brothers who he just got on so well with. They adored our family. It just, from being only 18, like I look at my son now, 15, I can't imagine him having a relationship like that in 3 years' time.
Like a mature relationship.
It was very mature, yeah, very, very mature. And yeah, he was an incredible guy, and his family were incredible. But unfortunately, he dropped me. I was actually doing drama at the time, and he dropped me one Saturday morning to a drama rehearsal, and he was going off to referee a basketball match, and he didn't make it to the basketball match. Unfortunately, there was a bad accident, and he was involved in it, and he ended up in a coma, which I think at that age I was just turning 20. I'd never experienced anything like that. So I thought there was so much hope, and I didn't listen, or I was probably listening, but I wasn't taking it in. Every day they were probably saying to me that things weren't looking good. But I just remember the hope I had from that Saturday to the Thursday, that when the life support machine was actually turned off on the Thursday, that my world just shattered. Like, I just was not prepared in any sense to be told that he's not going to wake up. You know, it was...
I read you saying to someone, or I heard you saying that when they told you that Noel was in a coma, you were like, okay, good.
Yeah.
Like, not in a, but like, great, so he's going to make
He's
it.
still alive.
Who told you about the crash? So you're in drama class, and who tells you?
My mum.
She came to get you?
She came to the door, and automatically I said, oh, she must have forgotten her house key. That was the first thing that came into my head. And I remember going out to her, and I just knew the minute I saw her face, and she said, there's been an accident. And terrible, but the first person I thought was my dad. I was thinking of the oldest kind of person that was, you know, my grandfather had already passed. So I was kind of thinking of the next older person in my life. I was like, you know, this is my dad. And she was like, it's Niall. And I just couldn't really understand it or comprehend it. She was like, there's been a car crash. So I was like, oh, he's probably got a broken leg. You know, and he loved Chubba Chub lollipops. Remember back in the day?
Yeah.
Chubba Chub lollipop. So the first vision I got into my head was, he's sitting up now in Beaumont Hospital with the leg in a cast and Chubba Chub laughing.
And here's my mum bringing
this drama to my drama class.
Yeah.
So we got in the car, and I remember the silence. So I knew this isn't just a broken leg. So I knew there was something a bit more. And then when we got to the hospital, I knew then that this was serious. But I still was like, but he's alive. So
we're good.
We're good. Like, Niall is so strong. He's so healthy. You know, he's got this. But unfortunately, as the days went on, the news wasn't obviously getting any better. But yet, I think again, probably being that age, 18 or 20, you're thinking, God, like, you know, he's still here. Like, that has to mean something, where I know now, obviously, you're thinking differently as a grown adult, but then you just have so much hope until, unfortunately, we didn't.
Did you ever find the crash? Did you find out detail? Did you want to know? Did you?
Yeah, I went to the coroner's court. It was horrific, and it was a pure accident. And the poor man that was involved in it with them, it was, and he was going to a hockey match in Scary. So there were two people that were volunteering their time to children and athletes to do good.
That man will never obviously recover from that either. Were you close to Niall's family?
Yeah, I was really close to his mum and dad. His two gorgeous sisters, one younger and one older. And the older sister actually was away. She was on a basketball scholarship in Boston. She had to come home. But his family, from that day to this day, they've just been the most incredible people to be around. They're just phenomenal, and they helped me so much through the following years. You know, they really were
incredible. Did you think you were going to marry this man?
Yeah. Okay. We had so many plans.
Oh, wow.
And we had plans, like, we were so young, but we had so many plans, and like we'd holidays booked. We'd planned to go visit a sister, you know, in the States. We'd this like plan to like have like a sports academy. You know, we'd all these, you know, big dreams. Times were different then. You know, you didn't see what was on socials. So
no, you're just planning your own life.
Planning your own life.
It was kind of beautiful, actually.
It was,
there was no comparatives. There was no looking at other relationships. You were getting on and kind of ploughing your own furrow. And I kind of loved, I remember the J1 days. I remember working in San Diego on a radio station. I remember when I started in RT. Unless someone did an article on you, no one knew who you were.
And it was kind of nice.
Oh, sorry. I remember when my husband was like, oh, Facebook is this thing around the social network when it started. And I was like, and what? And he was like, oh, you connect. And his family were in South Africa, his friends, his university mates. And I saw how the attraction for him was massive. But I was like, why would I want to put pics up?
Yeah.
Very quickly that escalates to an album of shite going up from some trip to Ibiza or some crap wedding. Like, you just started just inundating because you were filling the beast. So Absolutely. It is interesting. You were at a time where you wrote your own story.
And we, like, funnily, I went to the States the first summer I met Niall. I went over to coach in California, and I had to go to a phone box to phone him. He used to wait at the phone box. They used to have a holiday home in Rush.
I mean, I love this.
And he used to stand outside the phone box waiting, like, for me to call or for him to call me.
Don't you know, like, it's romantic.
It was, and I used to write letters because sure, I didn't have an email address then.
I
Do you
mean,
know what I mean?
just think it's romantic. I remember my first boyfriend and we do emails when I went into Interrailing. It was on yahoo.co.uk. But if there was no blue tick for an email coming through that week, I'd be like, oh, darn it, he's not emailed back. And would I send a postcard? Like, it sounds so funny and archaic, but honestly, it was romantic.
It was, and you know what, it was a time where I think, maybe because that didn't happen, you weren't, as you said there, you weren't looking at anybody else around, so you weren't comparing yourself, you weren't comparing your relationships, and we just got on with it, and we had plans and dreams, and they were probably from magazines and books and watching TV shows.
And romance novels,
Yeah, they weren't from watching
Instagram.
somebody else scrolling going, oh, I like that, you know, but times have evolved and changed, and, you know, I'm not knocking what we've evolved to, but it was a different time. It really was.
The machine is switched off. His family are obviously, you know, present for all of this. Your family are being a beacon of light for you. But your world, as a pretty young, like your frontal cortex isn't fully formed. Your life hasn't fully started, actually, Orla. Your whole world is turned upside down, from the routine of seeing your boyfriend, and, you know, as much as you can, to making plans. Was it a really bad time?
Yeah, it was. I never knew grief. And I never understood grief, and I just closed in. I couldn't comprehend the enormity that somebody was gone. They were gone. And I just remember always being this bubbly, happy, fun girl, to all of a sudden just being allergic to even wanting to laugh. I felt like I was letting him down if I laughed. I felt like I was being, you know, like I was nearly going behind his back. You know, I mean, I used to talk to him every day and every night. I genuinely, at that age, God, I think back, I thought that he could come back to me.
Yeah.
Like, I remember
it was just a break.
It was real. I remember thinking, like, he will just come back one night, like nobody else needs to know. And I remember lying in bed being like, Niall, it's okay, I won't tell anybody. Like, that was probably the age, you know, and just the sheer shock of it, and I just genuinely could not believe that now all of a sudden I felt I was on my own. And that sounds terrible, because I had the bestest friends.
Doesn't matter.
I had the bestest family.
I know, you'd your parents, you'd your family.
Oh, I had the best friends.
But he was your human.
He was my human, and he was my person. He was he was the person that I just thought was going to be there forever. And all of a sudden, not only was he taken, but our future was taken. So
everything.
He got so angry, and, you know, and I felt I didn't want to go on and do any of the things that I had planned to do with him.
Just deceiving him.
Yeah, really felt like I was deceiving him.
Was the talking to him, like going to bed and trying to sleep, was the chats, was it good? Did you find it really soul destroying because there was nothing coming back?
Do you know what? I think, I do think it was good. I feel that it was my little thing. I used to close the door, and I used to just lie there. And some nights, I mean, I don't really remember. My mum has told me since that, like, I'd be howling. I don't remember that. And I had 2 younger brothers, but I remember talking. And there's a lot of that time is actually blanked in my head, to be honest. I've heard things back from people, and I say, oh my God, I don't remember that.
It was a haze.
A haze. And I mean, I dropped out of college. I was studying sports in UCD, and I didn't complete my course.
You couldn't function? You couldn't go in?
I don't even remember. My parents got the phone call to say I didn't show up for my exams, and I don't remember that day. I remember getting on the train, and then I remember coming home, and they were like, we just got a call from the university. You didn't show up for your exams. And I was like, and I'm not going back. I sat there like a bold child, and I was like, well, I've just decided I'm not going back. I can't. I don't want to. And they were like, okay, well, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to lock myself in this room. And I did. And I locked myself in a room, and I didn't want to see anybody. I didn't want to talk to anybody. And like, I had such good friends that came knocking constantly, even though I said no. You know, and I've one really good friend, Kira, who used to literally like belly flop on top of me in the bed, and I'd end up laughing, even though 10 minutes beforehand I'd be like, don't tell her I'm not here.
Yeah.
You know, and then next of all, she'd arrive at the door, belly flop on me, and like to this day, she's still my best friend. But it took a long time for the lights to switch.
Were you depressed, do you think, or were you just grief? Like, do you think it was a lot of things, the blackness?
I think it was a lot of things. There was a lot of blackness, a lot of darkness, a lot of I'm feeling sorry for myself and feeling hard done by. And I knew that was wrong, because it wasn't me who was hard done by, actually. It was Niall. I was still here. I could still live a life.
I know.
And it took a long time for me to realize that. And someone said it to me. They were like, right, you got to snap out of this. And I remember being so angry. I was like, how dare you? Probably the wrong words they used. Sure. But in hindsight, they were right. Yeah, it was time for me to be like, right, okay, there's more to me here. And I watched it. I used to, like, my parents had this beautiful sitting room. God love them, they didn't get to use it for nearly 2 years. So I sat there on the couch, huddled, and I used to watch Dr. Phil and repeat. Oh. Yeah. But
that would have me in a... I can't believe you thought that was, what, just to listen to other people's shit?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Genuinely, till one day this girl came on. And
Jesus.
She was talking about, just get back up. And, I started going to the gym and I started feeling good. And I was like, oh my God, I used to feel good and I used to do things.
And you were a fitness gal.
But I'd lost all that.
Had you?
No, I hadn't ran, I hadn't walked.
So what were you doing? Literally
Nothing.
No exercise?
I didn't want to do anything.
Wow.
I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to, I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to be a person who was feeling happy. I felt guilty.
You're cheating on him by having a life.
Till I literally started doing jumping jacks and burpees on my sitting room floor one day watching Dr. Phil, because I had all this anger inside me and all this, it was
rage.
Like caught in my throat.
Yes.
And this person, and Dr. Phil, was talking about this. And I was like, that could be me.
You're living at home with your folks.
Yeah.
They sound, I mean, God, of course they were. Their daughter is devastated, but they sound like were they pretty chill about the fact that you were going through hell and you're moving through it and there's not a lot they could do about it? Or was there a struggle?
They were
just
devastated.
So sad for you.
My mum was devastated. My dad didn't know what to do. They were devastated.
So they struggled with it?
They did, yeah, big time. My mum used to hide her grief from me because she didn't want me to see her crying. My poor dad just wanted to make me happy. No matter what I want, just want to make you happy. And my brothers, there's 11 years between me and my youngest brother and 7 years between my next brother. So they were still only kids.
I'd love to know their perspective of seeing their gorgeous sister going from this vital, vibrant lady to small, sad. Like, I would love to know one day what their perception, like, my sister's boyfriend died, the love of her life died. It must have been a strange time for them as little kids. Very strange.
And then I often now feel very guilty about that, because I was their big sister. As you said there, I was the one that, took them out places, brought them places, gave them motivation, was at their sideline of their matches. They're both really sporty and sure. I was gone for 2 years. But the other side of that story was then that, through Niall and through Dr. Phil, this particular
I just think that is so, sorry.
It's a bit ridiculous.
In all the lightness or in all the darkness in Ireland, we always have this really light, fucked up, I just love how you're there was this one Dr. Phil show. But it's funny, it takes something or someone.
And it was that person who just resonated with me, because she started talking about panic attacks and this feeling in her stomach and that she felt choked. And I was like,
choked, that's how I feel, yeah.
I was like, oh my God, because nobody was really speaking about these things at the time, and nobody really...
And there was nowhere to look.
Nowhere to look,
yeah.
And I've been given books by people, but they were all very...
You weren't seeing a counsellor?
Not knocking religion, but they were all very on the religious side.
Spiritual then.
Very spiritual.
And you weren't seeing a counsellor?
I saw a counsellor in latter time. I refused to. I wouldn't leave the house. I did speak to a counsellor who was phenomenal, and to this day, I would always recommend someone to go to speak to a therapist or to a counsellor, somebody that you can just offload all this that you weren't able to offload to anybody else.
Yeah.
And I started moving again, and from moving, I started feeling this little release, and I can still remember that feeling 25 years later. I can still remember that little feeling of lightness and that feeling of, oh, that's a bit of me again, and it definitely ignited something in me.
Does the dopamine? It was the feeling of breathing. You're talking about breathing. It's such an interesting thing about grief, how it all sits.
All sits there, choked.
And your jaw is always really
tight, and I felt nauseous constantly. All of a sudden, that was starting to release, and
your body was feeling better.
Yeah, it was starting to feel a bit more the way I used to feel, and slowly then I started going out walking, going out running. Now I often laugh because somebody had to have seen me this particular day in Skerries on the beach. You'd think I was training for the Olympics, because I started sprinting so fast.
It's like the Forrest Gump of Skerries.
And
Orla Hopkins
I was
back.
I remember I was crying and I was shouting, and I said somebody this day had to have seen that, but that was one of the best therapy sessions I ever had in my life. And that feeling is what I try to remember when someone's telling me they can't do something. I'm like, oh, guess what? Yes, you can.
We get cross when we're fed stuff like, you know, you got cancer, go out for a walk and it'll cure it, right? I know I'm being trite and I'm being like insincere about that, but I'm just saying we get fed a lot of stuff about movement and exercise and how it can change. But like, let's say this fundamentally movement and the ability, and thank God we can while we can, really does change your mindset.
It really does. And I mean, I was always into fitness as a kid, as in I was a gymnast and dancer, but I didn't realize it was fitness. You know, to me, it was a thing I did. I loved it. It was a hobby, exactly. I never realized the endorphins it gave me. You know, I never realized that that's why I was always a happy kid.
That kept you.
And it kept me level. And it kept me, you know, challenged. So there was always a focus. Sure, that was just part of life. It's like kids now, you know.
I in school was like captainy and crickety and like playing hockey and really into fit. And it's funny when I hit my 20s and I didn't have the team sports, why I was like, why am I so funky all the time? Why? And then I had to get back into it. It's funny how you don't remember why you felt good.
Absolutely.
It's a bit like sex, or it's a bit like a relationship. You're like, why did I feel good then?
Exactly. And you don't realize that age. So why would I realize then that moving was going to make me feel better when I was going through all this? You know, I didn't. And if someone had said it to me, like at a certain time, again with grief, I feel there's certain patterns and times, and sometimes you just don't say things until it's the right time.
Yeah.
So, you know, it played its part out, and it helped me to move again. It helped me to find a focus again. It helped me to find a purpose again. And then I suppose Niall in the background was always his family were so fit and so active that it was just kind of, I didn't feel guilty moving. I didn't feel guilty, you know, working out, going for a run. So as I said, I dig deep, and even to this day, thank God I haven't lost, you know, I have a husband that is amazing, and, you know, he's there for me constantly, and I haven't lost my way since. There's been a few hiccups and a few up and down, I think, roads that we all travel, especially, you know, hormonally as we hit
and having your
40s
children.
And children, yeah. But when I have those days, I dig even deeper because I know I'm going to feel better.
Relationships, boys, even going into that whole arena and space. Yes, you're not solved. You were definitely not fixed. You were definitely not okay, but you were getting through and surviving and starting to move your body and probably relating to people more. Meeting your husband, had you been with other boys before? Like, did you date a bit? Did you struggle with that, Orla?
Really struggled with that. I actually went to the States the following summer with my friend. Because I had to just get out of a small town.
Yes.
Now, don't get me wrong, Jeekers, everybody was amazing, and I have the most phenomenal support group, and our town was fabulous, but it's a small town. And I just felt that I was being watched, even though I probably wasn't. It was in my head. You know, I felt if I went out for a drink, somebody was watching, or somebody was saying,
what's Orla doing?
Yeah.
Now? Is she still sad?
Yeah, pretty much. So I was like, right, let's get out of here. So we went back to, I'd been to California the previous summer, so we went back there the second summer with my friend. My friend, who also was good friends with Niall, was also grieving, which at the time, sure, I wasn't taking her grief into account. I was only taking my own grief into account, you know. I was like, you know, you're only his friend, you know. It was so selfish of me, but it was only as we went away I realised how much she was grieving. So we had this summer in California, grieving together, dating, going out, nobody judging us.
No.
And that was the best thing I ever did. And there was no social media, so there's no footage.
It was like a rehabilitation. It was like, no one in my village is going to see me kiss someone. No one's going to know. No one's going to judge. But I'm going to release a little bit, and then we'll see.
And there was nights that we would just sit there in a bar and have a drink and cry, but nobody knew why we were crying, and we didn't care. And then we'd wipe our tears. We'd get up and dance. You know, Coyote Ugly, come on. That was the era. And that was probably the best therapy I really had, was getting away from everybody.
Yes.
And I knew my husband now. I knew him before I went away. He'd become a really good friend. There was three of them. So himself and my other friend Simon and my friend Kira became like this just little shield for me. And they used to bring me everywhere and go everywhere. And they were always making sure I was okay. And Tommy told me he was falling in love with me before I went. And the poor guy, I was like, no, like, don't say that to me. I don't want to hear it. Like, you're one of my best friends.
But also, sorry, to Tommy.
I know.
How brave and cool are you to say, here's a woman who's been on the ground and I don't even know if she'll want this and she may always just be Niall's, but I'm going to tell her how I feel. I kind of love it.
Yeah, and he was amazing. Because he didn't know Niall. So I used to talk to him about Niall and tell him about Niall and cry. And he had a car at the time. I didn't drive, and he's like, I'll come pick you up. Let's just go and we'll sit and just chat. So we used to sit like over the beach in Skerries, and just like, I would just be like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I can't believe that. And I would bare my soul to him. And he was such a good friend. And the same with Ciara and Simon. And the four of us used to kind of just knock around together and, you know, go through kind of, I suppose, you do in your early 20s. And and then he landed this. I think I wanted to slap him across the face at the time. Poor Tommy. But I went away, and I remember like always in the back of my head was like, oh my God, like, why did he say that? Because I do think I love him, but I just couldn't admit it to myself.
No.
Couldn't admit it. And it took like 4 or 5 months. And then we kind of were talking. He actually was like, look, I just going to give you some space and time when I came back from America. And then when I saw him, I was like, oh my God. And I was so upset because I didn't want to love him. I didn't want to love him. I didn't want to love anybody else. And and then I remember like telling my parents and telling his parents and telling like Niall's parents and Niall's sisters. And like everyone was just so happy. And yet I was crying telling them because, you know.
Guess what, I like someone. They're like, that's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
It's like permission.
Yeah. And to this day, we still talk about Niall in our house. My boys talk about him. They know him.
Oh,
You know,
Orla.
you know, he'll always be part of our life, always. And Tommy knows that.
That's
and,
a pretty,
you know,
again, a pretty exceptional human to carry. And I'm not saying it's a weight, but it's your grief for your entire life. And it's your connection that, to be honest, Tommy is not a part of, but he carries that.
Carries it really well.
And your kids are going to know that story.
And I think it's really important. And that's just my story. Other people, I totally understand. I obviously met other people through group counselling, and sometimes that they just want to cut this part out of their life and start afresh, and they still, you know, go to the grave and go to the mass and things like that, but it's not part of their next phase of their life. But I feel I've had 100 lives, like I really have. There's so many different things that I've done in my life that I try not to block any of it out, even if it was bad. So he's very much a part of our talks. Like my brothers still to this day, especially my brother Ross, when he go to match, he always wore a band on his arm, and it was like his lucky band, and there was N on it. And to this day, if I'm like driving somewhere, I'm like, oh, I remember running late, come on Niall, get all these green lights for me. You know, he's a person. And even like my 15-year-old plays rugby, I'm like, come on Niall, make it there day to day. It's just something that, and I feel for anybody who's passed, I think it's just lovely to be able to remember them. So I think it's really important, no matter who it is, that they're just not forgotten. You know, then like, it's horrible. Like he was taken far too soon. And I'd hate for him, for everything he'd done, for everybody else, for that ever to be forgotten.
Why did you forget that?
You know?
Like he's 20 years on this planet. He wasn't here like nothing. He was...
Yeah.
He'd be so proud of you, right? Like he'd think you're cool.
I think so. I think he would, yeah. I mean, I'm probably doing now what we probably would have ended up doing. Do you know what I mean? Which is pretty cool. Like this was, you know, the whole fitness side of it, business. I think he is smiling down there. He was such a cool guy.
How long after dating Tommy do you start to talk about marriage and babies, or did you?
Yeah, we were, I suppose, mid-20s, and all I wanted to do was get married. Like I just became this like,
Wow.
why aren't we married? And he was like, we're 25.
Wow.
Like, so yeah, we became solid very quickly.
Okay.
Very quickly.
But you also knew
we knew each other,
like, I know.
and I knew. Yeah, I was like, right, like I'm very much like I love my people. Yeah. So I'm very much, if I find my people, I'm like, yeah, you're my people.
You
and
love
Tommy
hard,
was
yeah.
definitely was one of my people, and his family, and so yeah, we got married, and we're very similar. We both, after Niall died, I became very like, right, I want to like see the world.
Yeah.
I want to live every day like there's no more days to live. Nothing's going to stop us. And Tommy was very much the same kind of. He was like, yeah, I want to travel. I want to see this. I want to go there. Want to go on adventures. Want to create memories. So we kind of were similar in that respect, and have been like that. We're married. I can't believe we're married 17 years. Like I know. I'm like,
You are not.
yeah,
So you got married very young.
yeah. I'm going to say I was like 20, but I wasn't.
You were very young.
We were late 20s. Yeah, I was 27.
Yeah, that is. I think that's young.
It
Okay,
is
so you got
young.
married 17 years. That's a
Yeah.
long old innings.
Yeah.
And soon after you have your babies.
Yeah. Well, Noah's 15, so Noah was born in 2010. I got married in 2008. He was born in 2010, and Noah was most chilled baby you could meet. Like, I hate telling people this because he was like sleeping in his own bed at 6 weeks. Like, he's like, and he's still so chill. So we were very much able to still travel,
Yes.
you know, live a life. And we did that. And we did that for like 7 years until Hunter came along.
Did you purposely, is this a private question, have the chill out between babies or
well,
not?
this is another part of my life. I became a bodybuilder, a competitive bodybuilder.
Hey, I do know this.
In the middle of all this. So I say, like, if there's 100 lives, I don't know.
It's good. I like a bit of that.
So I got really obviously into fitness and love a challenge. And I felt, after Niall died, I felt I lost a few of my years because you're in this grief. And I felt that the year I went to America, I remember buying my first Oxygen magazine. Do you remember the fitness Oxygen magazine in the States?
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that and I was like, oh my God, like, these women are strong. They are like insane. I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
It was like a pipe dream. It was like, you know, I could never look like that. Even though I was fit, I never like was chiseled or had muscles. I was like a gymnast and I was stocky and blocky. And I actually thought I had to starve myself to look like this. I didn't realize that I just needed to lift heavy. So I never really looked at it again. And obviously got kind of lost in that whole grief, moved forward, got married, had a kid, wasn't really thinking about it. And I was a dance teacher. And this girl came into one of the mothers came into the dance class. And I was like, wow, your arms. And she was like, oh, I'm doing this bodybuilding thing. And I was like, tell me more. So I was like, do you know what, Tommy? I was like,
I'm doing this.
I'm going to do this. And he was like, absolutely. And I was like, but you do realize this is going to be hardcore? And he was like, yeah, I'm here for you. So I threw myself in, and every night driving home I used to go to Fly Fit and Swords 24 hours, try and fit it into my day. So I'd train in the morning, train in the middle of the night, and I'd drive home and I'd be talking to Niall on the drive home. Niall, I've got this, you know, you're with me here. And so I bodybuilded and competed for 4 years. Represented Ireland in the Europeans. Yeah, like I really got into it and I absolutely adored it. The challenge was phenomenal. The focus was phenomenal. And then, so I wasn't kind of going to have a baby in between all that. And then I actually had to have some neck surgery. So I had to wait till the surgery before I could kind of try. And we were really, really, really lucky. I got pregnant. Yeah, very lucky.
There can be bad press and connotations associated with bodybuilding for women, right?
100%, yeah.
And addictive, obsessive, like vanity focused, dangerous. Like, there's a lot. And we know that what it is pure precision focused athleticism. It takes a lot of discipline. And
serious discipline.
Incredible.
Yeah.
But there was and is a lot of negative. Like, did you find that, feel that? Did you come out of it and go, I'm kind of glad I did that, box ticked?
I think for me, because my background was gymnastics and dance, I was always extremely disciplined.
Okay.
Right. So training for me wasn't an issue. Eating good wasn't an issue because I actually am such a foodie. Like, I would eat like vegetables and turkey and chicken till they come out my ears because I love that kind of food. So for me, the food and the discipline wasn't an issue whatsoever. It was trying to fit in. The training was the hard part. I competed completely naturally. So I never had rebounds or kind of coming out of a competition. I never had issues. A lot of the girls I competed with did, unfortunately,
you know
because
what I mean?
they
They're
went
like binge,
in.
They're on.
And they went in I went in wanting to look strong. A lot of the girls that I became friends with went in wanting to look thin and lean. So that's where I feel I was really lucky in the sense that I was also older. So a lot of the girls I was competing with, like, I was now in my 30s.
Yeah.
A lot of the girls I was competing with were in their early 20s.
The smarts, the experience, you know what's going to hurt your body.
And also, I had a child.
You had a kid.
And I wanted to have another baby.
What age was your baby?
So Noah would have been 3, 4. Yeah. Like,
Does
Noah,
he remember?
Yeah. Like, I've such cool pictures of him like this beside me.
Stop
and
it.
Yeah. And he remembers, he always goes, oh, my mum, I just don't even put asparagus in. Like, he just remembers the smell of asparagus.
Yeah,
I ate so
yeah.
much asparagus at the time. Because that was obviously a natural genetic. Like, so I was trying to do it such a natural way. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I used to get a lot of negative talk, like, because Facebook was really its prime then. And I used to kind of share my daily routines and my story and like of how I trained, and they'd be like, oh, you can't look like that. You've got a kid. What drugs are you taking?
But also the spray tanning, wasn't there a lot of
That was
image
disgusting,
focused
yeah,
stuff?
yeah,
You know?
yeah, there was.
And what about like, it was aesthetic based. Did you make a living? Was it a good living?
I did it purely, like, I mean, the only living I would have made at the time, I wouldn't have made any money out of it. I would have just got product at the time. Like, I mean, I was sponsored like by a protein company.
So you weren't making a fortune out of it?
Oh, I wasn't making money out of it. What I was making out of it probably was more a profile. So at the time, I was coaching women then kind of for their routines, and because I competed in a category called fitness, so I actually did a full gymnastics and dance routine within it. So a lot of people were coming to me then for me to choreograph routines, and that's where I was kind of making money out of it. But I had my business at the time, so I was juggling the business and teaching classes, because I was teaching dancing and fitness class at the time and competing. But I think,
What's Tommy doing?
I know, Tommy, God love him, like
Nothing.
Tommy, yeah, he does nothing. He'd absolutely, Tommy is my personal chef.
What does Tommy do?
Tommy's in tech.
Okay, so
completely different.
Tommy's got this 9-to-5er, yeah?
Yeah.
What kind of mama are you? Because I look at you, and again, like most of the women I have on Little Birdie told me, there's softness and edges and emotion. You're badass.
I'm badass.
So what kind of mom are you?
So I'm a mum to boys, right? So I am probably, like now I am I don't know. I'd love you to ask that question actually.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a softie with my youngest because he was quite ill and he was in hospital for a while. And I definitely let him away with so much more. But I would be hardcore with their training. Like, I mean, they don't miss training, they don't miss matches. My poor 15-year-old was put through a full summer.
She's basically Kris Jenner.
Like, he had a full summer pre-season with me at home. Like, but the school sent the
No, it's okay,
documents.
Orla. If they're not sports stars, they're completely fucked.
I don't want them to be sports stars. I just want them to always be disciplined and to give it their best.
I'm like that with my kids.
You know, and I say to Noah, like, Noah actually this week is at the Leinster School of Excellence camp. It's a residential camp, and he's loving it. But like, you can't rock up on day one of a camp and not be fit.
No.
You know, you're screwed.
You look like an idiot.
Yeah, so I'm like, there's days, that's what you talk about, those endorphins, the dopamine. I mean, like, and when you were in your, you know, when you went to college and you forgot that feeling. Like, I have some videos I would do with Noah, the workouts at home, and like, he wouldn't be talking to me in that morning, and he'd be like, I can't believe I have to do this.
Because he's low energy.
Yeah. Then we finish and he's high-fiving me and he's like, right, yeah, what's the plan for tomorrow? So
but you know that, Orla. I was in a pisser yesterday, the day before. I feel my hormones flux at this. And then the kids, and bedtime is up. I have a 3 and 7, so I'm in a different phase of my life. I'm wrecked, I'm working. And then I head off to the gym, and even if I'm just doing some weight training or if I do a spin class, I'm just not an asshole anymore.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm literally like, oh, I thought maybe there was something majorly wrong with my mental health.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm just not an asshole.
Yeah.
And I like really was sporty when I was in my teens, and when I met my husband, who's massively athletic and that was very good for me. I think if I'd met someone who wasn't athletic, I'd have really struggled because he just kept me on my A game. But I had that sea of having babies and getting lost and weight gain or whatever. But I just know what is good for women and for us and for parenting.
I think that's where I'm very lucky with Tommy, because from when the day I met Tommy, he knew I needed to move to feel good, because that's what I've been through with the grief. So he knows that, like, he would always prioritize my workout before his own, because he knows that makes me tick.
Yeah.
And he's a gym bunny, and he's I was saying gym bunny, that's more a lady, isn't it? What would you say for a guy?
Tommy's a gym bunny.
What would you say for the guy? Gym? Oh
gym
my God.
buff. Gym. I don't know.
Gym buff.
Gym
I don't know. Sorry, Tommy, you're not a gym bunny. You're a
He's
gym goer.
a
A gym goer. I don't know.
Yeah.
Gym goer. And he played rugby, so like he's always into sport as well, and he would make sure that I wouldn't miss out on my training, where I feel that guilt with so many mums. And I try to say this, like, that you are a better person. You are a better person at home, to your family, to everybody. So don't feel guilty about moving for 35 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour.
Get yourself down there. Like, the guilt it's just, oh, I can't leave them and she's crying for me, and oh, look, I need to stay. I do a lot of that where I think I'm so important and I'm such a martyr. Like, I'm like, get over yourself.
Well, no, I was actually, that's funny, because I was only talking about that with somebody the other day, who took me so long to ask for help after I'd know it, because I just felt I can do everything. Of course, if my mum could do it, I can do it.
Yes.
And I only have one. There's women out there with 5, 6 kids. Why can't I do it?
Bullshit.
And then all of a sudden, when like my mother-in-law is phenomenal, and she'd be like, let me just do the ironing. And I was like, no, okay.
What is wrong with you?
And now I take I'm yes to everything.
No, women, I think we're idiots when it comes.
But it's taken like.
But you have to tell your mates that, like, my mates are having babies later, and they're just like, God, it's a real struggle. I'm like, just fucking tell people that you're really finding this tricky.
Hard. And that's okay.
Nobody cares.
Because we all found it tricky.
Yes.
You know, I'm actually a brand new aunt, only 2 weeks. And like that, I'm like saying to my sister-in-law, I'm like, you know, it's not easy. So, and anyone who says it is, like, they're lying.
Why was your second Baba sick when you say it's not easy?
Yeah, so he ended up in Temple Street. He suffers with he's lost function in one of his kidneys. And to this day, we still don't know how or why.
Born like this?
No, he wasn't born like this. He got very, very ill St. Patrick's Day 4 years ago now. And he just we ended up in Temple Street for a long time, and they eventually figured out what was wrong, and it was he'd been getting kidney infections without any symptoms. Chronic kidney infections over and over again, to the point where they actually he was very, very ill for 10 days. He wasn't responding to any antibiotics, and his infection levels were just getting higher and higher and higher. Temple Street were phenomenal. They had every team you could imagine in Temple Street were in, because they didn't know which team they needed. So he's under under Dr. Marie Stack now there, and he goes back in once a year for his checkup. He's doing amazing. absolutely amazing. And he's a different kid this year compared to last year. He still wasn't very well. Again, COVID, his immune system was so low.
Okay, so it's the immune system, the energy.
And if there was anything going in school,
he'd get knocked.
So like he'd missed a lot of school. Now, I mean, he's the healthiest, happiest, funniest kid ever. But I definitely, like my older lad now would give me a hard time. He'd be like, oh my God, Mum, you'd never have let me done that. You're so much easier than him.
So he's resilient. He's out doing his thing. He's a rugby guy. And then you have the one who you cotton-wooled for a little while because he needed that, right?
Yeah.
But I think your eldest kid is reminding you, let it go.
Let it go. Yeah, and I'm starting now, to be honest. Hunter's getting a bit of a shock now because I'm a bit like, no, that's not allowed in this house.
Do they get on?
They do now. They kill each other, but they get on. Hunter's turned 8, and he's grown so much in the last year that like he's become like a proper boy, and they kill each other in the sense that like they both play rugby. So like Hunter thinks he can play rugby with a 15-year-old. You know, like Noah is, 75 kg. I'm like, Hunter.
It's like W or something.
Yeah.
Like,
it's hilarious.
Nuts.
I know, you wouldn't think he's my child. But they do get on, and Noah looks out from Noah's in boarding school. So Hunter misses him a lot. So Noah comes home at the weekends, and that has really brought them together more because they're not there 5 days a week together.
Weird question. And you don't have to answer it. You have Hunter and Noah, you have Tommy, you have this life. Do you ever go, what kids would have had with Niall?
Often I do, because Niall, well, only because we laugh, because Niall was 6'4" and I'm 5'2". So we often...
That's hot. Wow.
So Noah, like, would be always like, he said to me, I wonder if you had kids with like Niall, what height they would have been. Like, that's kind of the joke. But no,
Poor Tommy.
I know. Well, and I wouldn't mind. Tommy's like, well, he's 6 foot. So like, he's
so
not
tall.
But like, I mean, there's a difference with 6'4" and 6 foot, I suppose.
6'4" is nuts, yeah.
But no, I think probably before I had got married and had children, and myself and Tommy were first together, and I probably would have been a bit like, oh, I wonder would me and Niall have done this. I wonder would we have gone there. I wonder would we have done this. And now like I'm very focused on my life now. I'm very, very, very fortunate. Like Tommy is like, he used to slag my dad and call my dad my knight in shining armor, because my dad was always there for me. I needed a lift somewhere, my dad would be there, drop of a hat. I'm the only girl in the house, and I was definitely a daddy's girl. So, I mean, a couple of years ago, I turned to Tommy and I was like, I said, you always slag my dad, but I said, actually, you're my knight in shining armor, because you really did, like, you understood everything. You allowed me still grieve, even when we were together. You allowed, like, part of our wedding, like Niall's sisters came to our wedding. Niall was part of the wedding speech. He really is an incredible husband, and he's a phenomenal dad. He is our personal chef. Everyone slags me. I don't cook at all. And he's very, like, although he works, as you said, they're 9 to 5, he doesn't, like, he works crazy hours.
Yeah.
And allows me also to do everything and anything, like, no matter what, comes my way, he'll say, don't say no, go for it. And I'm like, but I might have to go away for 3 days, or I might not be home till 9 o'clock at night. He's like, we'll make it work.
You're a team.
We really are.
You're a role model. Yes, your online platform is helpful, but you're a role model for your children, your family around you, even Tommy, and all of us ladies watching you, because you really did get through the worst of adversities and of times. Yeah. And look at you. And
don't get me wrong, I still have really, really bad days. I mean, only last week I was having mini panic attacks through work, business, life, trying to juggle everything, feeling guilty, the summer holiday guilts. Other mums.
Are they having enough fun?
I know, because they're like, again, social media. Oh, the people are at the beach and Scaries, the weather's fab. My kids are at home. They're,
sitting watching screens.
So that guilt, and I was feeling really overwhelmed one of the days last week. And but I know how to manage it. I know how to deal with it. And I know, like, okay, Orla, I do tell myself to cop on. Like, you are privileged. You are here. You're moving. You're walking. You've got a fabulous family. But we're all allowed to have those days and those times.
But you're able to pick yourself up.
But I've learned how to pick myself up, and I feel so, like, passionate about other, not just women, obviously men as well, but I suppose more women, because I can relate more hormonally to women, that we can do it. Okay, it's not easy, but you can do it, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to reach out, even if it's a neighbour. Like, I have a phenomenal group of neighbours, and we're all there for each other. They're not family, but they're like family, and and I think it's important. And I know my space isn't huge on social, but for the people I do have there, all I ever want them to know is that, we all have horrendous times in our lives, but it's how we do deal with it.
It is
you
how we
know?
deal with it. And it's kind of what shapes you. Like you can be, I did a lot of victim. I was a real victim for a while. Like this is woe's me and it's so shit. I end up this baby
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And you kind of come out and we go, fuck's sake. Like it's showing people you can actually just do anything. On that, briefly, I'm gonna let you go because I could literally hold you here forever captive. New Dimensions. Yeah. Tell me how it came about and tell me about this business. It's such a cool business.
So New Dimensions Active is a fitness wear, obviously activewear brand, but see, again, so many different parts of my life. I had a dancewear shop in Drumcondra for many years with my
No
mum.
way.
So it was Dimensions Dancewear.
No way.
Yeah, so we had that for like 15 years.
You're such a badass
And,
businesswoman. Look at you.
It was brilliant. It was our baby, and then COVID hit. But during our kind of the year previous to COVID, my brother Jeff, my younger brother, had come back from South Africa. He was a professional golfer on tour in South Africa. So he'd lived in South Africa for years, and through injury he came home, and he cannot sit still. So he was like, I'm coming into work, and we were like in the dance shop, and he was like, yeah, I'll do anything. Like I'll come in, and he's like, I'll do your website, I'll do this, I'll do that. So he kind of came in and he was looking at us, and every day we were just selling these black leggings, and they were shocking because they weren't ours. They were just a brand that we bought in from a wholesaler. And he was like, oh my God, how many black leggings would you sell a week? And we were like, well, that's what every dance kid wears. And he's like, why aren't you manufacturing them? And we were like, well, because we're so busy in our lives. Like, we weren't even thinking of that. Now, my dad was in the rag trade his whole life, and I grew up in rag trade. My dad is a women's fashion buyer and wholesaler. So we were always in that realm. And Jeff was like, right, like there's something here, guys. So we started he was like, what's wrong with these leggings? And I was like, well, they're kind of see-through. Mm-hmm. They're not high waist. And he was
flattering.
Or flattering. He's like, and even though they're kids still need them up over their belly buttons. They're in a dance class. No one wants to see their knickers, whatever.
Totally.
So he was like, well, show me what you're thinking. So that's kind of how it started. And we developed a legging for dancers. And we were also doing like uniforms for dancers and dance schools and things like that. And COVID hit. And all the arts were affected and everything had to kind of shut down. And in that time, with part of that legging, we'd started, the dance teachers were like, oh, we'd love these. Like, could you not do them for adults? So we started kind of developing the legging into an adult size. And they were selling in the store pre-COVID. And we had this little section and it was like, what are we going to call it? Like, so it was Dimensions Dancewear. So we were like, New Dimensions Active, like, or Dimensions Active or whatever. And that's how it started. And then during COVID, Jeff, in fairness to him, I was feeling the victim. Oh my God, our business is going to go. And didn't want to even reply to emails because people were emailing going, like I ordered something, 3 weeks ago. And we're like, we can't get into our store. Like we're in lockdown. They're like, well, can I get a refund? I'm like, I can't even give you a refund. So I was feeling this like stress and victim. And Jeff was like, come on, cop on now. This is nothing. We can do this. And I remember driving in one day and stopped by the police and they were like, you can't drone. I was like, but like, somebody wants a refund. And they were like looking at me going, did you not tell them it's locked down? I was like, yeah, but they obviously need the money.
Yeah.
So we went in and we kind of sorted all that out. And Jeff went and basically built a website himself and started developing the brand. And he lived beside our warehouse. So he started. And during COVID, I was like, right, Jeff, you're right. Again, we've been through shitty times before. We can get through this. And New Dimensions started with just women's leggings and then developed into full fitness wear brand for men and women. So we're now technically we're kind of 7 years in business because we'd started small in the shop pre-COVID. But I tell you, it's a serious juggle and struggle. Business is hard these days. Like we're fighting fires. But I mean, as I laugh, some days I come home like, well, what else would I be doing? Like, I'll be fighting fires at home or I'll be fighting fires in work. So
well done. You're absolutely awesome. And the fact that you said there, I promised Niall I was going to live every single day. You can tell you do that and more. Orla Hopkins, thank you for being
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
To all my gorgeous listeners, because every parent deserves peace of mind, I'm thrilled to share that this episode is brought to you in partnership with Optimal Follow-On Milk, the #1 follow-on milk brand in Ireland. Optimal Follow-On Milk is a product you can trust. It's specially designed to support babies' growth and development as it contains calcium and vitamin D, which contributes to the normal growth and development of bone. With over 50 years of dedicated breast milk research, Optimal Follow-On Milk brings science and care together to support your baby's journey. Optimal Follow-On Milk, your life, our science. If you like this episode, will you please rate it, subscribe and share it with others? This helps me get the guests that you want to hear.